teacher, yeah. So we have one. And then, does anyone mind sharing if there's any other connection here for you? Maybe
Spouse.
Spouse.
Spouse. I have two children with sensory processing disorder.
Okay, thank you for coming. This will apply. We talk about sensory stuff, yeah. Any other people? Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. I really do want to thank you because if you take the time to learn, it may apply to you, but if you have this knowledge, you never know who you're going to meet next week, who you're going to run into, and they are going to be so thankful that you learned this and you can pass it on to them. So, you should all have a folder of information, and in that you'll find a few things. The first is a little flyer telling when our next class is, because we cannot cover all the information tonight. This is just an overview of how you can manage some of the symptoms of autism, ADHD, and anxiety, and some home strategies for ways of coping with it. But there are some really important underlying health issues that come along with these conditions, and in our next class we're going to really get into some of the important issues like gut disease, toxicity, what other?
Those are the two big ones.
Yeah, gut disease, toxicity, chronic inflammation, and allergies. That'll be covered in the next class. But today we're going to talk about how can you find relief now so you can get started. So there's a little flyer on that, and then you have today's handout. That'll be what we go through, but there's a huge amount of resources listed on the back. We could not list all the resources that we use. This table has resources on it you can look at later. This doesn't even scratch the surface. We're kind of resource junkies, so
I burn out computers every 6 months because I overload the processor with all the information.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, this was just a few we just put on paper for you. We'll refer to some of them. And then another sheet you have is an awesome paper that Michelle made. It's just called Autism, ADHD, and Anxiety Oil Chart. This will correspond to our presentation. So if you want to take down massive notes, awesome. But this will show you the oils that go along with the symptoms that we're going to go through. So you can take notes. But between these two sheets tonight, it should cover most of it. And then the last thing that you should have is a product order form. As we're talking through oils tonight, if you are like, I must have Intune for my child, just mark it down. This is kind of like your wish list. So mark down everything that you want, and then later we will have a follow-up meeting with you, or your doTERRA consultant will, and we'll help you find out what's the cheapest way that you can get those oils. But for now, just mark down the ones that you know you need.
For tonight, because of library policy, we're not going to be placing orders this evening. So just be aware of that. We're not allowed to sell in the library. So we won't be placing orders. If you are interested in product, we are more than happy to set up appointments with you and discuss more specifically what your family needs.
Yeah, so, and maybe you'll just have that wish list all ready to go, and someone says, what do you want for this holiday gift? So you'll be ready to go. I think, well, the last thing I just wanted to say before we even do introductions and get started is I have to give a disclaimer, and that is that we are not claiming to treat or cure or diagnose any conditions, and we're not making any major claims. We're sharing our experience as moms and just what has happened with us. So when we say this worked for us, we aren't promising it will work exactly the same for you. But we feel really passionate about it because it worked so well for us and our friends. And so we just have to put that little disclaimer there. All right, so Michelle, she's going to get started.
Okay, so as moms, we all know life is autism and anxiety and ADHD. That adds about 20 more plates to our spinning juggling act there. So part of our goal this evening is to help turn that chaos into calm. Give you some tools that have worked for us, some tools and some tricks that might help alleviate some of the symptoms, put some focus back, some balance back into your life. going to be focusing on things that you can do at home, things that you can do with your family, things that you can implement in the classroom for your child also, and things that are natural, that aren't chemical-based, sticking with the oils and sticking with natural products and natural tricks and
Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Carolyn Johnson, and this is my crazy family. My husband Kevin, and in the blue is Noelle. She's 4, and Zoe. She's our little genius. Yesterday was Genius Day at her school, and I just had to post this picture. It cracked me up. Her hair's all done, and she's dressed all funny, and she just cracks me up. She's full of life. We'll go to the next slide. We'll go there in a minute. I'll say a little bit about myself. I grew up in Montana. I got married and was a teacher, elementary school teacher and Spanish teacher, and worked overseas in Bolivia for several years. And we planned on doing that. My husband and I did that for years. We thought we'd do that forever. And then we had our daughter Zoe. And a couple years into her life, we started realizing she had really significant needs. And so we transferred back to the US. We had to change our entire career and drop everything we were doing because she was, her needs were too significant. She was diagnosed with high-functioning autism. She has definitely the hyperactivity version of the ADD. A lot of sensory challenges, a lot of food allergies. When we first started looking into what was really bothering her and making her very sick, she had over 40 or 50 allergies. So we got to learn to cook with twigs and rocks and sticks and eat really primitive. This year we were excited to find out a little bit of the reason why she has struggled so much in health, and that's that she has methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase deficiency, and it's called MTHFR. And it's not an acronym for a swear word. A lot of people thought that when I first wrote to them and said, my daughter has a genetic problem, MTHFR. And they thought, oh, I've never known you to swear. And I thought, what? They got to get a different acronym for that. So it is something that sets people up to have a hard time getting toxins out of their system. So she was full of toxins and we didn't know why. We knew she could never have anything toxic in her home or eat anything, but we didn't know why it poisoned her so bad. So our other daughter, Noelle, she also had severe food allergies, failure to thrive starting around 7 months old, and a lot of depression and anxiety. She's always struggled with speech delay. So between the two girls, we've got to learn a lot, and it brought us to Richland. We didn't plan on living here ever, but we researched a town that might be open to kids who have challenges, and this town had like a handbook when you move here, handbook for people with children with autism, and we're like, we're going there. They have a handbook for us. So we have found a lot of help here, and the biggest blessing this whole year has been finding doTERRA essential oils, because it's addressed every single one of my kids' issues and just really boosted their healing. So that's who we are.
I have to comment really quick. I didn't know that you knew about, I created the handbook. I was on that board that put that together.
Oh,
so
that means a
we
lot.
were like, we should have known each other for the last 25 years, and we've only known each other for 4 months.
Yeah,
And
that's
we live
awesome.
parallel lives. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, we're just getting to know each other, but we have a lot of the same passions. So.
Okay, so this is my fun and crazy family. My husband actually has ADHD, and we did not figure that out. We did not officially diagnose that until I took my oldest son off the medications because they weren't working, and I put my husband on them. And lo and behold, wow, life was better. So he's been officially diagnosed for about 6 years now. Okay, I'm going to try to talk louder. I've been losing my voice all day. I've got 4 fun kids, and as you can see from this picture, we do have a couple of fun things. The one on the left, all of them have their hoodies. They all have their hoodies. We go out in public, that hoodie is on. It's their horse blinders. It blocks out the world. It keeps them functioning. We go in public places, blocks out the lights and the noises and everything so they can keep moving. No, I think so. I'll start getting tongue-tied over it. Let's see. The middle picture, we try to do a family picture every Christmas. And we did a couple nice serious pictures and then realized that's not us. Not even close to us. The middle picture is very much us. All of our kids in different directions and wrestling and maneuvering, and that, you know, we can only have 4 kids because combined, my husband and I only have 4 arms. The picture on the far right, my sister was kind enough to help us take 2 years ago as our family Christmas picture, and that was the very last, the 46th take. And that is the only publicly viewable picture. Because my son on the left, you'll see his hand sticking out. He can't hold still, he can't look straight ahead. Eye doctor visits are very fun because he can't look through the things like he needs to. But officially, through local doctors, he's fine. So we have had to work on our own a little bit to come up with things that work for our family. My eldest son, Alex, is 17. He was not diagnosed with anything until he was 11. Some of these kids, they're functioning enough that they slip through the cracks, and so that's where a lot of the activities that you'll see in our listing here in our program are things that we came up with on our own or we researched on our own, and that's part of why I'm such a research junkie. I gave up on the system and I started fighting for myself. My eldest has Asperger's, Tourette's, Marfan's, which is the growth disorder, bone joint connectivity disorder. He has extreme food allergies. Technically, he should live on rice and chicken and about 4 vegetables. He has the MTHFR. He has hearing loss from all the illnesses as an infant, and he just started having seizures. My 15-year-old has Marfan's. He had craniosynostosis, which is a bone disorder, another rare genetic disorder that we got. We've got 3. So the craniosynostosis, he had cranial surgery at 6 months. He's OCD, he's very sensory sensitive, he's a very picky eater. Because of that sensory issues, things taste funny, they feel funny, he doesn't like them. He has extreme anxiety issues, which is one of the reasons that I have gotten excited about doTERRA. They have helped greatly. This picture of him is at Halloween this year. He spent 4th of July curled up on my couch, sobbing hysterically because he was so afraid that our house was going to burn down. He didn't want to leave the house. He spent most of this last year curled up on his bed, refusing to go out in public, refusing to hang out with family or anything. He is now all over the place. I can't keep him still. He's out in public. He's having fun. I've got my kid back. My other guy, Spencer, is 12. He's the one that, he's my fidgeter and my sensory. He needs to touch, he needs to poke, he needs to jab, but don't you dare touch him. He also has asthma and eczema from all the toxins in his system and the extreme allergies and the MTHFR. My daughter Maddie also has the OCD and the anxiety. She, the first 6 weeks of school, was getting a note home from school every day that she was disruptive, she was talking too much, she was distracting other students, not getting her work done. This last 6 weeks, we had a conference last week, and the teacher said, I cannot believe the difference. And the difference is doTERRA.
Okay, so does any of this sound familiar? You guys feel at home with us? So I want to introduce to you the essential oils that we're talking about when we say doTERRA essential oils before we go any further, because we're going to keep referring to it all night. And these oils are very special. They're 100% pure, certified pure, therapeutic grade, and that's a much higher grade than you're going to find anywhere else. And when we found doTERRA oils, I recognized that as a really important thing right away, because we knew if there was a toxin in something we put in our daughter's body, which is very true for all these other kids, it would be drawn straight in, and then their other health conditions would make it so they couldn't get the toxins out. So it wouldn't be therapeutic if it also was bringing in toxins. So doTERRA essential oils are taken from all their native plants, all the native growing areas of the world where these plants came from. So like their lavender is from France, I believe, and their frankincense is from Oman, Jordan. And they don't just grow them here. They go to where they're the most full of their ancient properties in the areas that they were growing originally. And that's awesome because the soil is perfect for it and the climate is perfect for it. We just can't recreate those conditions. So the properties, the constituents in these plants are a lot higher than other essential oils. So you'll see a lot more come from one drop of these oils than you will from other essential oils. So this is just a picture of the peppermint leaf, and it's magnified. You can see the oil sac on that leaf, and that's where the oil comes from. So when they extract the oil through the steam distillation or the other types of distillation that they do, they have to be really careful. And doTERRA uses a third-party lab to test everything and make sure that all the properties are still in there. They didn't mess up or overheat or destroy anything in the process, and there's no other toxins or other weeds that got harvested along with it. They're just very, very pure. And tonight you can smell them. If you haven't used these oils, come and we just brought our own stashes so you can smell the oils. And if you've smelled other essential oils, you'll recognize it right away. I had smelled essential oils before, and I was so sensitive to toxins. I almost threw up the first time I smelled myrrh in a grocery store. Whatever was in that bottle was not pure myrrh. I almost threw up, and I had to leave my cart and run out of the store. The toxins were so strong also with the myrrh. However it was harvested, it was overwhelming, and it was horrible. So I bought this myrrh very cautiously. I was at home. I was like by the couch thinking, if I fall over, whatever. No, not at all. I don't have a problem with myrrh. So I have a problem with toxins. So if you smell lavender or melaleuca from another company, be sure to smell doTERRA's. They're very, very pure. The special thing about essential oils for these kids in particular is that they are going to come into their body through their skin, through their nose, they can enter in and they can go to their stomach and their digestive system, and it's safe in all those ways to enter their body. Other essential oils can't be taken internally, but doTERRA is, because they're so pure, they're safe. You can take them internally. We do it all the time. My daughter could not take a lot of medicines and actually get them to break down in her digestive system and then assimilate it into her body. A lot of things just were really a waste of time to put into her. Her digestive system was so compromised. But I loved it that these oils could go in through her skin because I knew they didn't have to be digested. They could go straight into the bloodstream, straight into the cell, and start taking care of viruses or bacteria or fungus, whatever was in there, drawing out toxins, whatever it would go through and draw those pathogens or toxins out. And she didn't have to digest it, and I was like, yes. The other nice thing is that they can breathe it in, and you don't even have to touch them. If they don't like being touched, you can diffuse the oils, so you'll see that they can be used aromatically. And there's 2 diffusers here. They're just different models. You can find other diffusers from, doTERRA sells 2 kinds of diffusers, and we found a few diffusers from other companies, but as long as it is a quality diffuser, you're gonna get that essential oil into the air, and they'll be breathing it in. It affects the olfactory glands, which then affect the amygdala, and that is where all of our mood hormones are released from, and it's pretty amazing to see. I witnessed my 4-year-old who struggled with depression for several years. As soon as we started diffusing Elevation, she was giggling and laughing all day long. And we have Elevation over there, so you guys are going to be really happy over there. This one's balanced, so you're going to be really mellow over here. But we had a family member come 1 week after Noelle was using Elevation and was like, what are you doing, feeding her sugar all day? I mean, she's so happy. No, it's just Elevation. So some people really need the mood lifting, and so aromatic's awesome, and some people need the calming. Either way, whatever kind of oil you're using, it'll work. Our other daughter gets a lot of calming effect from diffusing Serenity. So if you want to take the oils internally, you can drink them in a glass, or you can put them in a capsule, like a veggie capsule, or doTERRA has some already in capsules, so it's ready to go. When you use them topically, you just want to choose the best area of the body to apply them. If you don't really know where, you can put it on the bottom of the feet. And with kids, dilute the oil with a few drops of coconut oil or another type of carrier oil, and then a drop or 2 of the essential oil. But you don't need to use very much, and you'll see really quickly that it's gotten in and gone throughout their whole body. So if they have pain or something in a specific area, you can go ahead and put the oil there. But if it's just for their whole body, just put it on their feet.
The base of the neck and the spine are also good places. That's where I usually do my kids. I've got 3 teenage boys. I'm not touching their feet. But the base of the neck, my 15-year-old's got to the point where he's like, okay, I know it's working. I'm up and functioning, but now you have to catch me. And he's kind of just gotten a little attitude with me. He's a teenager, and so I just, I happened to be in the kitchen with him and happened to have oil on my hand and happened to wipe it on his neck as I walked past. And, oh well, he's got it now.
Yeah.
So, yes.
These little bottles, this is just a roller bottle I bought from, I think, Aroma Tools or My Oil Business. You can find them other places too, but I pre-diluted the oils that I wanted for our child who doesn't like the oils. So I had it all ready to go, and I can just, I say, I'm going to draw a letter on your back. And I'll write like a C. What letter was that? Rub it in. I'm erasing it. And we can play a little game with the roller bottle, and she doesn't really have to know I'm putting oils on her. Or if they have ADHD, you just stand there with it out, and they're going to run by.
So, as we've discussed, we have similar children with similar diagnostics, but obviously every child is different, every family is different. There are all these different little things that factor into each of these diagnoses. And so we're going to break it down. We're going to hit each of these symptoms and attack it head on and give some references to how to work with them. So the first one is anxiety and stress. Another quick tip here, a lot of what applies to our kids applies to us. I know, halfway through the day I'm like, oh my gosh, just stop. So I need my elevation first thing in the morning also. I need a little serenity. I need a little calming with the oils to keep me functioning too. So first we're going to talk about techniques though, things to help with calming techniques. One of my favorites is music. I'm a music lover. I love music. Having soft, quiet music playing is a great way to just calm your children. Calm your household. Turning on calm music in the morning while everyone's rushing around getting ready, it changes the mood. It helps calm things down. And for anxiety and stress, having a quiet place to go, someplace separate from everything else, when they are stressed out, when anyone's stressed out. I put myself in timeout often. We all need 5 minutes to regroup and get back on track so we can deal with the day. And having a place, I specifically suggest that it's not the bed. I learned early on, if the quiet place is the bed, they think they're being punished. And that becomes, then bedtime becomes a punishment. And so we don't want to connect that. So having a quiet place, if it's a table with a fort blanket built over it, build a fort under a little table somewhere in the family room. Little pop-up tents, there's lots of little kid pop-up tents that are great. Similar suggestions for classrooms as well. If your child's really having issues in class, if they can make a quiet place, either in the corner of the room. I've had several teachers that have put together a little pop-up tent, little pillows in a corner, little reading bookcase, some quiet zone where those kids that are really struggling and really stressed out can just take a minute, calm down, and regroup. Swinging is a good thing too. I don't know what it is. I love to swing still. There is something with the vestibular, with the balance system of our bodies, that movement is just calming and relaxing. It gets our muscles moving in different ways than they normally do, and it calms the system. Squeezing. We do what we call the Aspie squish. And my youngest will walk up, my youngest son, and his big thing, he'll run up and he heard some phrase on a TV show recently, hugs mean love. And so he will just randomly run up and just squeeze the life out of anybody that's close to him. And that's a great thing. We squeeze back and hold him tight until he's done getting his little pressure, and that gets his body reset and he can move on. We also have done where you lay him down on the couch and take a pillow and kind of rolling pin motion, but just push along the body, up and down the body, and that just that little bit of pressure the body needs. In these kids, they need that pressure point, that energy release. As they get a little bit older, it's nice to be able to teach them how to do this for themselves. Because obviously we can't be there in 5th grade with them when life is just awful and they need that release. And so with my boys, they've learned to go, you know, step into the restroom, ask to go to the bathroom for a minute, and hug themselves. And if you do a squeeze and push, can I do it that it makes sense visually? Put your hands on each side and grip your shoulders, but pull your arms apart at the same time. That pressure, that counter pressure, is that same movement that it gives the same muscle movement that it would be if somebody else was holding them.
This last little one, the bonks, is something we had a family support specialist show us and our daughter loves. Just a little tip, if you put on a little oils before you did this, this would be awesome. Same thing with the little tent. You could go and sprinkle some Serenity in there, and they go in. I've been known to sneak in and put oils on people's pillow at night when they're coughing. I like to sneak, gotta sneak it in. So the bonks are, our daughter just loves sensory input, so she would just, you know, run against the wall or hit her head over and over to get it, but we want them to get it in a good way. So this is just counting to 10 and pushing in each joint on your hand. You just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You go to the next one, each joint on the body, you're doing your arms. Well, I do it for her, and then you can do your head. But that's something she can also do too if she can count to 10 and calm herself down by feeling that pressure on each joint of her body. So it's an activity you can do with your child where they can learn to just do that, and it really does relieve a lot of that sensory seeking need that they have. So as you're adding essential oils into your plan for their stress and anxiety, we really suggest lavender and Serenity. Serenity is an oil that is basically based with quite a bit of lavender in it. Let's see where the Serenity is. We're going to pass this around. Do you want to just, sure, Michelle will come and give you guys a little drop.
Do you want to pass out this one? We don't want
If you have
anybody to sleep.
an allergy to lavender, don't use Serenity, and if you're allergic to lavender, I'm really sorry. Is anybody allergic to lavender? Hope not. You can have a true allergy to a plant, and then you wouldn't want to use that oil, by the way. But so Serenity has a lot of other oils mixed into it that all just basically sedate the nervous system, which is awesome. Vetiver oil does that also. It's listed on here, I think. Well, we'll get to vetiver on one of the next topics, but it'll really calm their nervous system. My daughter, when she uses Serenity, she just takes a huge deep breath in and, oh, thank you. And you may feel that right now as you're getting that oil on. I don't know if Patty wanted to say something. One time I asked Zoe, why, what does it feel like to you to have Serenity oil? Because you really act like you love it. And she said, Mom, it's like I went up to heaven, and then I came back down, and I still had some of heaven on my skin. And I was like, wow, and she's obviously very high functioning, has a lot of verbal abilities. It feels that good. We may not have that severe of an anxiety issue, so maybe we don't understand what it's like to have that massive calming. Maybe you do. But for her, the way she explains that, it just saves her life to have it. So I would suggest using it anytime you see your child really struggling.
I was going to say, when I first started using doTERRA, lavender was one, I've always been allergic to lavender, so I couldn't use it very well. But as I've detoxed and uninflamed, I can use lavender Serenity all the time now.
Yeah, because so many allergies are just based in our inflammatory issues. Then you get better, you probably handle them. That's a good point. Wild orange, elevation, citrus bliss, all of these oils, they're all citrus based, and those are going to really help. Some people respond really well to the citrus oils. Also, aroma touch. If you have ever had a massage, this is great to add to it. Massage can really relieve a lot of stress. You can add the aroma touch massage oil, or you can just put it on and it'll still have therapeutic benefits. But doing a little hand massage or foot massage or back massage for your child will really help, or your spouse or yourself. Balance is one that I use every day, and we'll pass balance around in a little bit. I want everyone to try it. it's one that's just a daily oil for us also. It really helps just balance everybody's electrical systems, and it has frankincense, heals all kinds of stuff. So
I feel like your tip, it just levels things.
yeah. We'll mention a lot of these on several of the topics. If you can ask one right now, we'll do most of them at the end, but okay, fine. Okay.
Okay, with attention and focus, this was a big one in my house with my husband with ADHD too. I have to kind of, I do a lot of snapping my fingers. One of the big things that we need to do with our kids is limit the distractions. If they've got a room that is just, my daughter, I don't know, I cannot get her organized whatsoever. We'll get her room perfectly clean and she goes in and chops up an entire notebook of paper and goes, snowballs! And her room's a disaster again. And then she can't be in the room because the chaos of her room just stresses her out. A vicious cycle with her. I stepped into a classroom. One of my boys was having a lot of trouble when he was in 4th grade. And I went in, volunteered with the class, see if I could help out, see if there were some things that I could maybe offer suggestions for him specifically. It took 10 minutes for the teacher to notice I was even in the room because there was so much in that room. Every 3 feet there was a banner hanging from the ceiling, a long poster-sized banner the kids were having to duck under to get to their desks. There was floor-to-ceiling posters and banners and words and pictures and bright colors and just craziness everywhere. And we pulled him out of school that year. It was not worth the battle because she was very set in her system. But having a room, a classroom and a bedroom, a home that is organized, there's been so many studies on that. And I know it's hard. It's hard to keep the house completely perfect and organized all the time. It's not supposed to be perfect, but having a place for things and having as much order as possible is greatly beneficial. Another technique that we learned that my family discovered a few years ago is face tapping. And there is, on your handout, there is a web link for this one and a couple of the other ones that we're going to reference too. Face tapping is the handle technique discovered by, or created by Judith Bloodstone. And she actually, her family helped her recover from autism in the 60s. And then she began having seizures and reverted back into full autism, completely nonverbal, and pulled herself back out of it. And was speaking around the world. She actually just passed away, I think, 2 years ago. But the technique, it goes into doing a specific rhythm of tapping around the face that resets the neurocenters. And this was something my kids used to. We haven't done it in a while. We got out of the groove because we got past some things. We don't need some of these things anymore. But this was something my kids were coming to me 2 and 3 times a day going, tap my face, please tap my face. And tap their face. Things would level out. It would reboot the system, basically. Wonderful thing. Small motor tasks are another great thing for attention and focus. When they are really distracted, a lot of times it's because they're either overwhelmed by what's going on or they don't understand what's going on. Specifically in a classroom setting, it's nice if you have a teacher that's working with your student really well. One of the things that another therapist recommended for us is to have a small dish of multicolored paper clips. The child is having issues with this particular task, math, or whatever subject they're working on. Bring them aside, remove them from wherever they are working, and have them sit and sort that little disc of paper clips by color. It works on their fine motor, on their little grasping skills. It gives them something else completely to focus on, redirects their thoughts for a little bit, and then they can usually go back to the task at hand. And little things like that. And you know, when the therapist suggested this to me, I thought, well, that's just silly. That's not going to help. And it did amazing things for 2 of my kids. Bean bags are great things. Bean bags, squish balls, koosh balls, bouncy balls, squeeze balls. Having something like that they can fidget with in class or at home. One of my guys carries around a fidget ball all the time. It's always in his pocket. Bean bags specifically, and I meant to have one here tonight. My sewing machine choked on me. I'm going to be creating some for our school, and we are doing rice bags in a vinyl bag that can be in vinyl fabric that can be cleaned, sterilized really easily, with a fabric cover over it. And in the fabric cover, we're putting cotton balls or cotton pads with the oils on them. And our school's already been using them in the therapy rooms. And the first day they chased me down after school and said, I want more. And my daughter's been taking her beanbag to school for the last month, and it's just inside the corner of her desk, and whenever she's having problems, it's got peppermint, wild orange, and Peaceful Child, which is another locally made blend that Carolyn does, and that was created before the Intune, which is more specifically ADHD directed. But that one is a great way to help them refocus. Multisensory. I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Give it.
Yeah, okay.
We probably
We'll probably check that. Yes?
I have a question. Have you gone through any of the cross crawl with your kids marching? Because if they do jumping jacks out of the homolateral position, totally reverses the meridian. It makes it that much
Yes.
harder.
Yes, that's actually on another slide.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, you're good, you're good. A lot of this, and you will see, that's what's so fun about all these issues and these diagnostics, is they cross over so much. We're going to see the same oils on a lot of different slides too. Some of the other things with attention and focus, charts, schedules, organizational structure is my life. My family does not function. I got really sloppy this last 6 months and was busy with other things outside of my home, and we haven't had a schedule on our front door, on our living room wall for about 6 months. And my husband and I talked 2 days ago, and he goes, I need a schedule. I don't know what I'm doing. And we're having a family meeting this weekend and restarting our schedule. But having pictures with that schedule, having things that help visually. I know Carolyn's got a really good story on that.
One of the things that shocked us, our daughter was so verbal, we couldn't imagine that she could not comprehend what we were saying though. But those are totally different skills. So she could talk all day, repeat all kinds of information, but we'd say, put your shirt on. She could not do it. It just frustrated us so much. And finally one day, this person says to me, well, why don't you put a picture in front of her? Even though she's so smart and can say so much, what if she can't understand it? So we started adding a picture with what we were saying. Oh my goodness, she was like 5. She could do it. She had to have the pictures along with what we were saying in order to do it. And after time, you could wean yourself off those, but it's really amazing how we're just so used to all our abilities just, working. That the speaking worked, but the internalizing and doing the commands didn't work for Zoe. Now she can do it because she learned. It's awesome to see how it works. But so she needed the pictures with hers. Other kids don't. Zoe needs check boxes. That is huge. Check boxes for her. She will do anything if there's a checkbox at the end of it. So just adding little things like that might just be that visual or that thing that gives them some sort of a real satisfaction or understanding of what they're completing.
Also connecting things that they enjoy. We talked a little bit, my oldest when he was younger was just obsessed with trains. And so our chart had a train that moved along the chart. So as activities of the day happened, that train moved to the next thing on the list. And so the train made it to the end of the station, or to the station at the end of the day. And that was a visual thing for him. He needed to see the progression. It wasn't just stuff happened, it was the train made it across. And a lot of kids, if you can tie in something that they love, and a lot of these kids, my husband included in these kids, they have their obsessions. They have those things that they just love and they focus on very, very clearly. And I think that's one thing that's missed sometimes is when we think of ADHD and autism that they lack focus, and that is not true. Sometimes it's hyperfocus. Sometimes it's a matter of bringing their focus, redirecting their focus back where it needs to be with everything else going on. One of the other things, if you want to grab, there's a timer right there. This is another wonderful tool. It's a visual timer. It's called a time timer. Really creative name there. So on the clock, the thing's just moving, and they're like, I don't know, the arms of the clock are moving. What does that mean? This one, the red disappears as their time's running out. And so it's very clear, I'm out of time. And that has been a wonderful thing. My kids, we have My boys are gamers, very much gamers. But we have, since they were little, we realized 20 minutes was the max. If they played past 20 minutes, it was not fun to be in my house. Everyone was angry, everyone was fighting, things were getting thrown, it was not pleasant. So I learned real quick, 20 minutes is the limit. But I'd say 20 minutes and I'd walk away and go cook dinner or something, and I'd come back 45 minutes later and go, why aren't you watching the clock? Well, what do you mean? It didn't change. Still a clock. So having something that's much more visual and they can see it is a huge, huge thing for them.
Okay, while you're working on attention and focus, doTERRA has a great new blend called In Tune. If you want to try it, I'll pass it around. If you just put it on the back of your neck, it'll get right into the area that we want it to focus on. It has a lot of sandalwood and some citrus.
It's a little strong.
Yeah, if you don't like
a little bit of a
that'd
woodsy
be
scent to
you
it.
can put it on your feet if you don't like the smell. But it is kind of an intense smell. They came out with this, and it was just this fall, and it was after we'd been using the oils. It was so funny. My daughter was using the Balance, using the Serenity, but the first day that we put In Tune on her, her teacher wrote home a little note. Her teacher didn't know, and she said, Zoe was very focused today. And I'm like, that is crazy. This oil is for focusing, and that is what the teacher saw happen. She was focusing more than before. And so we use that, especially when we see that she is getting really, just ADHD, everything that's in that. Like I said, sandalwood, both the In Tune and the sandalwood, what they do is they help the neurotransmitters really make strong connections in the brain. And that's what you need. You don't want all these things firing and never making complete thoughts. It's like, let's complete one thought, and then go to the next thought, and then go to the next one. But when they don't complete, they're just firing around. So,
my husband hasn't been on his prescription meds for 4 months. He's been using the In Tune,
awesome.
which is huge for us.
Yeah.
And my daughter, he puts it on and he's like, it smells like my cologne, whatever. And my daughter has requested that we put it on her ankles because the kids make comments because it smells kind of funny.
I'm just wondering, so do they do it in the morning and night? Do they need to take it to school or work? What do they do?
They both just do it in the morning. I think my husband probably, if I could convince him to take it to work with him, it would probably help. I know he has mentioned, by 2 o'clock he's kind of needing a little bit of a reboot. He took the Peaceful Child to work a couple times before the In Tune came out, and he used that one about every 2 hours. A little bit weaker blend, because he's a grown-up. You have another question?
Yeah, well, I was just curious. My son goes to public school, so
Yeah.
I run up there at lunchtime and read
Because
lines.
it's not a prescription medicine, they can carry it with them.
Really?
Legally, they can carry it with them. So it's a matter of, you probably need to have a chat with the teacher if he's in grade school. Let the school know so that he's not getting in trouble. I know my daughter was very panicked. The teacher said I'm not supposed to have anything on my desk. At a conference, the teacher goes, you have that? Why aren't you using it?
Yeah. So
So-
I'm just kind of curious if there's any tricks or anything, because he's not very responsible, so I can't really send him with a glass vial to school.
Right. These are actually pretty sturdy too. I know this morning I was having major clumsy issues and I dropped one off the top shelf in my cabinet. It bounced on the tile of my counter and it's fine. So they are pretty resilient too. That's one thing I like.
I think there's a couple ideas too. Do you guys have ideas on that? In the back, I think there was a couple hands. I didn't know if you had ideas on what
My
she could do.
sister just found on the Aroma Tools website, that's the companion site to the doTERRA site, they have these little, I had one with me that had free, and I think I left it at home. They have these little inhalers, and they're just plastic, and they've got a little screws on, so it's like a chopstick, and it's got a little tube in it, and you put a couple drops of oil. They say 15, but we put 5, and it's plenty. And you just take the lid off and you put it in each nostril and inhale it, and that's it. Put the lid back on, it goes in your pocket. It's little. It's like a couple dollars for like 6 of them, and you can put anything you want in there. And then if he loses it, you've lost what? 50 cents.
Right.
Oh crap.
Right. Right.
So yeah, try that because usually for her day the last couple of weeks.
Cool. So my daughter's school said that if she wasn't responsible enough to take it, the nurse was happy to keep it for her and she could go at lunch and put it on. The nurse would just control that and help her. So I think there's another idea.
Sorry. My daughter has ADD too, and so we got her a little keychain couch, and we talked to the school nurse, and we talked to the teacher, and we let them know what was going on. And because it is not a prescription, it's fine. So she can use it. The thing that she's ran into is that other kids are like, oh, what's that smell? You know, so she's very self-conscious about that. So the teacher said, look, you can step out into the hall, you can go out into the bathroom, you can find it there. You don't necessarily have to take off your socks or shoes on the front, you can put on the back of your neck, you know, just whatever you're feeling. But most teachers that we've run into and the counselors and the nurses at the schools, they're very supportive of, you know, whatever's going to help your child.
Oh,
Also
thank you.
having a beanbag in the locker. So if they're in middle school, high school, and they're going to their locker between classes, picking up that beanbag, scooping the beanbag, putting it back down and walking away. Sometimes that's all that they need too.
Okay, yeah, like you see on this list, we've already mentioned some of the citrus oils will help, lavender, peppermint, and vetiver. It is a really strong oil that's from a root. It's a different kind of smell also, but it works pretty amazing. It's a really strong sedative, and it really helps some people get control. So.
I did an experiment today and tried something. Our school has policy about not wearing real strong perfumes and things because of allergies is very strong at our school. And I took a bottle of water, or a spray bottle of water, and put some wild orange in it, and I washed the tables. And Claudia was with me today. She volunteered to help in my classroom today. And I teach art, and she just commented about how focused they were and how much calmer they were, and that was, I know it was because of that wild orange.
So great, thank you for sharing that. Okay, we're gonna have to keep moving, so other comments and stuff can be at the end, but we're gotta keep moving. Yeah, go ahead. Next topic.
Yours is.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This topic is kind of just for the extreme, either bipolar or serious mood swings. I mean, everyone has normal fluctuations in their mood, and that's good. But when it's scary and destructive, there are some techniques that we have used to stop meltdowns and to really, really change the course of how long it would take to recover and that kind of thing. So what our family has chosen to do is a system called Body Talk. And there, on your handout, on the back, there's a link. If you want to learn even one technique, Body Talk, they've put it on their website for free. It's called the Cortices technique. It's very interesting, similar to the tapping, holding your hand on certain areas of the head and tapping these areas and moving, and you do this little regimen. And it really resets the brain. It's really amazing. I've gone into a situation even with a boy who was in a lockdown situation and destroying the room. And I walked up to him and I did that, and he laid down on the bed. I've learned some more Body Talk, and so I treated him a little further, and he fell asleep within moments. He was exhausted. Meltdowns really, really exhaust you. So I'm excited. I'm going to be taking more Body Talk training, and in January, if any of you want, I need to be able to treat 50 people to get my certification. So I got to do it for free, and so it's a good time for people who really need it to sign up with me, and you can have a free treatment. So we'll have your contact information, but if you really want to make sure you get on that list, grab me tonight, and I'll write your name down. And it's significantly helped our family, and it's not for everybody, but you can check out the website and see if it's something you're interested in. And no matter what, there is one technique, like I list on there, that is really helpful for us and for our children. You can do it in the morning and night, and it just resets your system. You wanted to mention something about meltdowns?
With meltdowns, you know, there is a point where there's just no way that control is going to happen. There are times when meltdowns happen, and it's just kind of a free-for-all, and you just kind of run for cover. But we need to keep in mind making a safe place that they can be when that is happening, getting them to a safe place. Away from sharp coffee tables, things like that. Someplace that they're not going to injure themselves. We also need to keep in mind that we ourselves need to remain calm, and sometimes that's not easy to do. It's probably easier in public because we know everyone's watching. But our systems remaining calm helps their systems remain calm, which brings us back to using oils ourselves to keep us level and on keel.
The next one is called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT, and also on the back of your handout there's a link. I linked a whole class, basically all written up. You can just read through it and follow the steps. It's a way of tapping through some areas of the body and at the same time addressing emotional issues. It's really awesome how you can train yourself. I did this with my daughter one day, and there we were sitting, and she loved it because it was got that sensory stuff. Like, I can be calm. I don't have to yell at people. I'm saying the little statements through with her, and she's loving it. She's like, this is awesome, Mom, because it's this little exercise with her. And so we wanted to mention that to you guys. It's another free technique that's listed there.
With safety rules. Another thing that we started doing with our kids when they were really little. We know meltdowns are going to happen. Emotions happen. Anger is not a bad thing. Sometimes we just need to get it out. And holding it in makes our systems toxic. So sometimes if situations arise and we need to get the energy out, it just needs to happen. But there needs to be rules in our families, in our homes, in our schools that apply to that to keep us and other people safe. The rules of our family are, it's okay to be angry, but you cannot injure anyone else, and you cannot destroy any property. If you need to get that anger out, you need to go jump on the trampoline. You need to go punch the punching bag in the garage. You need to go throw stuffed animals at a blank wall. You can go punch the pillow on your bed. Things that are going to be body movements and get that energy out. You can go stand in a room and scream at the top of your lungs. Totally allowed at my house. Don't do it next to me. Find another room. But yes, getting that energy out is totally acceptable, but there has to be rules involved to keep everyone else safe. And I have found over the years that my kids, they learn those rules pretty quick, and it's not an issue for us. And they hold each other to them.
Okay, we're gonna just quick pause and do a little prize drawing, or do we have a drawing, or are we just gonna do a quiz?
Either way.
I don't know if we have the drawing all set up.
Not quite.
We don't have it set up. Okay,
Pick a number.
so who can name one at-home strategy for calming your child?
Rocking.
Raise your hand.
Nursing.
Okay, you raised your hand.
Emotional freedom technique.
All right, you can strategy. She's a teacher. We're gonna do a couple more magazines and another oil prize in a few minutes. But for the oils that go with this, we wanted you guys to be able to try the balance oil. So we'll pass this around. This is already actually pre-diluted, and so you don't need to dilute it. It's the only oil I think that comes pre-diluted. I like it because you can get frankincense daily in your system, and it's not too expensive. I think it's with a membership, it's $20 a bottle, whereas frankincense with a membership's almost about $70. So to get a little bit of frankincense in your system every day, it's nice to be able to have the balance. It smells like the woods. To me, it smells like Montana, which I miss often. And I find that men really love it. I mean, it's just like that woodsy mountain man smell. So putting this every day is going to help with balancing emotion. So frankincense straight is great. I mean, a diluted frankincense, just pure frankincense. When we started with oils with our daughter, we opened the book. Sorry, I referred to the book without telling you it. The Modern Essentials book is known as the book because I use it so often.
The Bible.
Yeah. This book is just put out by a sister company of doTERRA's, and they list all the oils, what is in them, how they work, and then a really great reference. We had been using the oils for asthma at first for our younger daughter and didn't know they would do anything for our daughter with autism. And one day I was checking on the asthma section and my eyes kind of drift over. I see autism and I see ADHD and I'm like, what? There's stuff in here for that? And the first thing we saw was frankincense. And so we did frankincense every day on our daughter, Zoe, starting last January. After 4 months of doing frankincense with her every day, all the specialists working with her said she needs a brand new IEP. We were like, well, why? It's like April. Who does a new IEP right now? And they're like, she has surpassed all of her goals. She has developed a 1.5 years time in 4 months. And all we had been doing was the frankincense every day. We had seen a huge change, but they had seen the developmental change. Frankincense passes through the blood-brain barrier, and it can repair things that other treatments can't. It's pretty awesome. It can work on inflammation and depression and all kinds of other things too. But the neurological repair that we saw was just phenomenal. So I encourage you guys to look through at the different ailments that you're thinking of specifically for your kid or for yourself, and make sure that you don't leave without knowing what oil will help that. We have extra books here, and so frankincense is the top one there, but it's for so many things. Serenity, balance, elevation, lemon, peppermint, and clary sage. If you have a child who's dealing with hormonal imbalances, clary sage is really powerful. Their soulless blend that doTERRA has is for hormone imbalance, and a lot of times when kids that have autism start reaching a time of hormone change, they can start having seizures, or they can have other things start that weren't their symptoms before, and they're really serious. So hormone balance with clary sage or a soulless oil is also a big help.
Okay, muscle activities. I know I've referenced these a couple of times before. These are my lifesavers. My oldest had occupational therapy when he was 4, and the therapist that he had referenced his train that he was obsessed with and talked about how his engine gets turned on and it goes and 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 goes until he crashes. And a lot of these kids, they can't, that off switch is not there. They can't stop, they can't redirect, they can't switch gears. It's just go. She put him on the trampoline and she came running out. She left an assistant with him, came running out. She goes, he jumped twice and he sat down. He stopped moving. Go get a trampoline. So we bought a little mini rebounder on our way home that night. And that is something I have had in my possession, some variation of different size trampolines for the last 12 years now. Treadmills are another one. A friend gave me a treadmill this summer for my birthday. I've used it once because I can't get my youngest 2 kids off of it. Every time I open it up and pull it out, they're like, oh, I want to walk, I want to run. And they get up there and it burns off. My 12-year-old slows down. His engine turns off. Punching bag, yoga ball is a great one. I know there's some schools now. My sister-in-law is teaching in Utah right now. She's a 3rd grade teacher, and one of the things that they have bought as a school district is yoga balls and replacing certain chairs in each classroom with a yoga ball. So these kids that are fidgety and bouncy and need to move, and I'm obviously one of those bouncy people, they can sit on this yoga ball and it gets that movement going, and they can sit there and bounce while they're working on their homework. One of our new grade schools here in Richland, when they rebuilt it a few years ago, just kind of by accident, they picked chairs that have kind of an S shape and the seat can bounce. And so these kids are sitting there, and the teachers, the first month of school, they said, oh my gosh, this is so much better. These kids are sitting, but they're getting that movement and that pressure while they're sitting. Large motor tasks, when they do get that engine going. If you don't have a trampoline, you know, it's cold outside right now, so my kids aren't using our trampoline outside. But doing large motor things. We called my youngest son the mover for a while, because if there was a piece of furniture, even if it was a piano, he was going to move it. That was something, that large muscle, give him a heavy box to push around the living room, do something that's strength, that's a little bit harder to do than just picking up a piece of paper. The cross patterning that was referenced before, they did some discovery, some research. I have a friend who was a missionary in Africa several years ago, and they realized that a lot of the kids in Africa they're being held in carriers, carried around with the moms until they're toddlers, and they're missing the crawling phase. And as she was talking to me, I realized, you know what? So did my oldest. He was in a walker when those were really popular 18 years ago. He didn't crawl. He was on my lap, or sitting on the couch, or he was in a walker. And so he learned to walk at 9 months, which was fantastic for us, trying to keep him out of things. But he didn't crawl, and that right-left brain coordination did not develop. So they are putting these kids, my friend that was in Africa, they are going back and teaching these older kids to crawl. And it's resetting that cross pattern system in the brain and getting their right-left to work again. Two of my boys, my oldest and youngest boy, neither one of them can walk a straight line to save their life. My youngest one did it once during testing. So I was told he's fine. But they very much swing when they walk, swing out when they walk. My oldest swings out. He walks. I can't even walk how he walks. He does this kind of thing. And he's 6'4", and his limbs are 8 inches longer than his height. And so he is crazy long, gangly. And you kind of have to watch out when he moves because you're not really sure where those limbs are going to go. But having the cross-patterning, some of those activities that we did with him, it was crossing your hands on your knees, crossing your hands on your arms, doing that pressure squeeze on that too, was also that vestibular, getting that motor or that pressure system going. But there's lots of, you can look up cross-patterning online, and there's lots of different websites that have different links to that. But yeah, there's different games. My youngest son and I do like a patty cake kind of game. He'll look up to me randomly, and he's just going crazy. I'm like, hold up your hands, here we go. And it's a game to see how fast we can go. But it gets him refiring. With the beanbag, also again, beanbags I think have been kind of our latest phase, which is crazy because my kids are big. But that's a big thing for us right now.
We're going to do another prize. Who can tell me the 3 ways that you can use essential oils? Yeah.
Okay. Aroma, topically, and intern.
Good job. Awesome. This magazine that we're going to give you is from a little while ago, but it has a great article on cleaning with essential oils. And one awesome way that you can help your child is to get toxins out of your home and making it safe in there for them to breathe and just a non-toxic home. So this has all kinds of recipes in there for you.
Thank you.
Some of the oils that you can use for hyperactivity have been listed already. These can be used for lots of things. So the Intune oil, Balance, Lavender, Vetiver, Serenity, and we listed the Peaceful Child. You can find this recipe in various places online. I made it. I added a few things to mine because I liked it better. But if you guys want to try it, I have it here tonight. It's just a blend that a woman found really helped her child, and it's helping other people. So it's not a doTERRA thing, but we wanted to mention it there. Are you doing nutrition?
I know, we both do nutrition. We didn't make it this far.
We're both pretty passionate about nutrition, so.
We both have major issues with we joke in my family, my extended family thinks I'm insane because I make a minimum of 3 meals per meal. It's required. My kids are allergic to so many different things and avoid so many different things. One refuses to eat meat, one refuses to eat bread. All of them are allergic to milk, dairy, wheat, and most meats. But the variance in the diet is insane at my house. And it's not because I'm giving in, it's because it's necessary for them to function. The big thing I know that's finally getting put out there right now is the GMOs in the foods. We've got to detoxify our diets. There's so much garbage in our diets, so much chemicals in the prepackaged foods. And now that they're doing all these fake crops, it's in what should be natural foods. You've got to do your homework on what you're feeding your kids. Having a routine is very important. As with the rest of the day, it's very important with the food, with the diet, that they know these are the times of the day we're eating, this is the activity we do before and after each meal. And that helps them know that this is coming and this is what's happening, and it just makes things go a little smoother throughout the day. I'll talk about the MTH.
If you're interested in knowing about that condition I was talking about, you guys are really blessed to be in a community that actually educates people about this. There's a doctor named Dr. Neil Rollins, and I put a link on there. If you want to take a class from him, he will tell you how to supplement for this condition. which it turns out 99% of children with autism have MTHFR. So it's a good chance it's in your family if you're dealing with that. And the rest of the population, possibly 40 to 70% of the rest of the population, has that condition also. So what you do is you basically supplement with methylfolate and methyl B12 and maybe some others, but he will explain that in his talks. But it's been pretty life-changing for us. It's helped our daughter be able to write. She could only write 3 to 5 words, and that was it. And in 2 days of supplementing correctly for this condition, she wrote an 8-sentence paragraph. It was significant. When it's right, it's right. And you'll see these changes with your kids too. If it's the right oil or if it's the right supplement, it'll just be a real, you'll see their functioning go up. So MTHFR, you just are supplementing for that. Gluten-free, casein-free diet. We have books up here if you want to look at it. I put some resources on there. There's so many resources, we couldn't even list them. But there's just a lot of research on how children with autism or ADHD are basically processing these foods incorrectly, and they are getting way too much of the peptides from the foods in them. They take it in as if it's a morphine, so they're getting gluteomorphine and casomorphine. They are on drugs from food. That sounds crazy, but that's what they're experiencing in their body when they eat gluten and dairy. So you can see belligerent, insane, aggressive behavior from food that should be healthy. When we removed those 2 foods, we saw a change, but we also had to do allergy testing and remove the rest of the foods that Zoe was allergic to. And that's when it was a huge clincher for us to get the rest of the testing. If you want to know about food sensitivity testing and allergy testing, you can talk to us, to me. There's
there are types that are better than others.
Yeah, there's naturopaths that can help you, or we can suggest things. But really consider the gluten-free, dairy-free diet. It's not a fix, but it's going to remove a huge problem. And then you've got to really work on boosting your body. There's other, we did body ecology diet. We did specific carbohydrate diet. We did the blood type diet, and we did the gluten-free, dairy-free diet, and we did all these. So if you want to know about them, we've tried them, and each one had its purpose for at certain times of healing for our kids. So
I definitely personally recommend doing the allergy testing, and there's specific types that are better than others that actually see some of them. My oldest was tested with the prick test for 200 different things and came back negative on everything. We did a blood drawn test, and he came back positive on all but 4 things. Some tests mask the results. Some of the system hides the results. And if we had just gone straight GFCF before doing the testing, he's also allergic to soy. He's also allergic to other things that are in a lot of the alternatives that people substitute with. And I am as well, and that's why I was aware enough to do that. I spent most of high school very, very ill. And my senior year, we finally did testing, and they didn't take out my appendix because I was just allergic to what I was eating. Do you have a question?
Well, so TF is gluten-free. What's TF?
Casein-free, which is cow protein, which a lot of people think is just milk, and it's not. It's everything to do with the cow.
anything processed, I can say, it's in a lot of process.
Yeah, it's also hidden in a lot of packaged things. Any powdered mix of any kind is pretty much in. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that doTERRA can offer you that are going to help in your quest to get proper nutrition into your child and into yourself. One of the awesome products they have is called Slim and Sassy, and it's not just for losing weight. It's a metabolic blend that can help balance blood sugar and correct metabolism issues. So I have used it personally just for weight loss, but some people find that it really helps because their child has a blood sugar crash. Also listed here is coriander. There's oils that can help with other blood sugar issues too, if your child has that.
My oldest two have hyperactive metabolisms, so they don't gain weight. We have to special order pants for my 26, 36, 15-year-old.
One of the great things doTERRA just came out with is chewable vitamins for children, and they also came out with an omega-3 fatty acid blend. It's called IQ Mega, and I've tasted it. It's so awesome. It is a kosher oil blend that has wild orange and rosemary in it, and it doesn't taste fishy. I can't remember all the blends of fish that's in it, but it's a fish oil, and it's excellent.
fish from Iceland.
Yeah, it's like
So
Iceland.
it's not mercury tainted fish off the coast of the Atlantic. It's good fish.
I don't know if you wanted to pass this around. Do you want to open or?
We can open it, yeah.
She was kind of thinking if you guys wanted to try one of these, you could see it. The A to Z chewables, I'm very impressed with. It has, all the nutrients, but it also has superfoods in it and herbs that are detoxifying. And it is it doesn't have these weird ingredients that I usually find in kids' vitamins, food dyes or junk like that. It doesn't have weird sweeteners, nothing artificial. doTERRA is a very pure company, and I've researched a lot of vitamins, and I'm actually truly impressed with this one. And it's a lot cheaper than the vitamins we were buying from doctors. I had a doctor look at this, and he looked at what he was giving his daughter, and he's now switching to this because of the quality of it, and it's cheaper than what he was getting from the special company that only doctors can buy.
Can you find the values, like how many milligrams of each vitamin on your website?
Mm-hmm. Well, on the website, or we would pass it to you.
We
We could give it to you. We could print out a paper with it